Yo, that's my house. What happened? Well, it looks like I need a place to call home. You know, we all need somewhere to live, and with rising costs, we might as well take a gander at all our options. So starting off with something a bit overrated, the violent van life, and I think this is relevant.
I don't give a rat's behind because I'm moving in. I'm sick and tired of living in a van down by the river!
So you know, let's just start off with the most important part, the price. And this isn't as cheap as it's made out to be. A lot of it depends on if you do the poor man's drill or the trust fund kid route, which can land you anywhere between $60,000 to $250,000. I know, the gap's pretty large. Welcome to Van Village. Here are the two options. You got that rust bucket and you got that thing. And you look like the type of guy who can't afford that one, so let's take a look at the rust bucket. When you go the poor man's route, it's best to expect more issues on top of it, since you will be getting a used van and having to do all the conversion work yourself, since paying for a conversion is pricey. But you know, if you do go the rich kid route, you don't have to worry about that too much, since there are companies that do van conversions, and you probably got a brand new van as well. But outside the van, we can't forget about the daily cost of food, gas, showers, and all that other extra things you need. I'm Dorbol, and this is Pimp My Van. This man's house blew up, so we are tricking this thing out for him.
Many months later.
Alright, here's your van. Oh my, this thing looks like a giant toy car. Thanks. You know, we should probably understand the downsides of this, since there is plenty. Such as if you have a family, chances are you deserve jail time, since it's cruel and unusual to put a whole family through this cramped living style. Sir, why do you have 5 kids in your van? Well, it's my family. Sure it is. Step out of the vehicle for me, sir. You know, it should also be mentioned, you usually don't have to change the oil on your house, but in this case, you do. And if it breaks down, you gotta find somewhere else to live, and when you bring it to the shop, you better hope the people are trustworthy since you're letting random people in a random location into your house. Also, remember Gabby Petito? I think that shows a side of van life that's often forgotten. You're kinda stuck in a moving prison cell all the time. But hey, at least you have an easy way to travel. Overall rating, 3 out of 10. Not sufficient for full-time living. Hey, we should stop for food. Yeah, we should. Let's go to KFC. What'd you just say to me? Yeah. And speaking of portable housing, we have the unbalanced boat life, and honestly, if this is you, you deserve the suffix captain before your name. So let's take a look at the boats with a bed. And the pricing this can vary like crazy, from $60,000 to infinite, since if you really have the funds, you could just buy a $1 billion cruise ship. But there is a big concern with this, sea legs. Which, to those that don't know, this is when you get your balance used to the motion of the boat, and so when you get back on the land, it can mess with you, and it can go a bit like this. Alright, time to hop back on land. Here we go. Whoa, 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 whoa. And this is how I know we are living in the future. They even have fast food drive-thrus for boats, which in my humble opinion will go out of business within a year, since there isn't a chance the traffic is actually heavy enough for this one. Hey, I'll take a 10-piece nugget. Hello? Anyone there? Yeah. Well, okay, yeah. And if you were to have a family, this would be worse than the van. Unless, of course, you were some loaded multi-millionaire with a yacht. Then that would be a different story, but someone tells me if that's the case, your house is much nicer than the boat at that point. The overall rating I would give this is probably a 1.6 out of 10. Only livable if you're a single guy. I'll never let go. I got him. And here we are with the abrasive apartment living, and for some reason it often draws in some very disrespectful people, and I say this from experience. I have a neighbor who keeps their dog in the garage all day while they're gone, and it barks a lot, and on top of that they'll blast music and do loud things in their bedroom. But hey, I'll lean more to the nocturnal side, so it's really not that bad. What is going on up there? Let's go! Another one in the bag. But it is easier to get into an apartment than most other things, which I find to not be fair, since if you can manage to put up rent each month, you can pay for a mortgage, since the cost difference isn't crazy. At least it didn't used to be, and it really should be mentioned that paying your rent is virtually throwing money away, since you never actually end up owning anything, so there's no room for appreciation or anything along those lines. But hey, it is an ideal world, so that's just the way it goes. Alright, so your rent will be $2,000 a month.
Trust me. You won't find a deal like this anywhere else. Just sign here.
Overall rating, 7 out of 10. You could definitely live like this forever, even if it isn't perfect. And here we are with something that you probably didn't think of. We have the timely trucker. And for those of you that don't know, long distance truckers have a small cabin inside the truck that they can sleep in. And price point wise, this is the best deal you'll find since you don't need to actually pay anything. You'll get your CDL and then they pay you to live in it. Man, it's been a long day. I'm getting kinda tired. Well, I can just pull off right here. I'm already home. But there is some serious downsides, such as the lack of food choices. I mean, it's either eat out or find a way to do something in the truck. And with those food choices, the living situation often comes with weight gain, and it's not the easiest lifestyle on your body. Alright, time to get some food. Yeah. Whoa. I think it might be time for a diet. And you know, being homesick is a very real thing. And I'm sure it's a mix of missing home and the fact that you literally sleep in your workstation. So it's like you work 24/7. Also, you know the horrors that are truck stop bathrooms can make really anyone miss home. Alright, let's make this quick. Oh, what the? Oh, nah, I'm just gonna use a bottle, bro. It ain't worth it. I ain't doing this today. I'd give it a 3 out of 10, mainly since it pays you instead of the inverse. And speaking of pulling things around, we have a good old triumphant trailer. And for simplicity's sake, we're gonna say this could be anything from an RV to a Burley. And there's a whole lot of options, and some are definitely better than others, but obviously, the better it is, the more money. I mean, you could end up in a trailer in a Walmart parking lot, or you could be in a double wide on 1,000 acres. Alright lads, you see that trailer over there? Well, let's tip it. Alright, go, 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 go. Oh, yo, what is going on out there? Yo, stop. You know, you could also end up in a trailer park, and it's not a horrible situation, but it can attract a certain crowd. So much so that they made a documentary on it called Trailer Park Boys. But on the real, I imagine life in the park goes a little like this.
If I want to sleep in for a bit, I'm not going to get up and go right to work. Like Bubbles like, oh, come help me clean these balls in my shed. Sure. Well, let me sleep in for a minute first. This is sick, Bubs. I need about 10 more minutes here, buddy.
And there is a few problems with this. Trailers oftentimes don't appreciate in value. They often come with things such as lot rent, which is going to be a thing you have to pay forever. Almost like a HOA minus the perks, and with cheap living comes off. A lot of other problems can come to surface. When I was younger, I surrounded myself with some pretty bad friends, and a lot of them lived in a trailer park. I'm not saying all people in trailer parks are bad. I'm just saying it's more common. So this place right here, $25,000. Well, that's cool. Can we see inside? Hey, you. You're on my turf. You want some smoke? The overall rating I'd give this is a 5 to 9 out of 10, since if you get a double wide on a lot of land, that might as well be the dream. And you know, we can't forget about our homies on the benches. Being homeless. I mean, this might sound like a horrible living situation, but on the bright side, you have the most freedom out of anyone. Oftentimes no obligations, not location dependent, but you have to end up dealing with stuff like this. You know what? I don't want to travel. Hey bud, get in the car. Okay.
3:28 a.m.
You know what, price point wise, this is the best deal you can get. It comes in at $0, and I would go into the downsides of this, but I made a whole video about this already, so I'll just put it as a clickable at the end of the video instead. But here we are with something that's definitely illegal, squatting, which is pretty much just going into vacant houses and living in them. These could be houses up for sale, vacation rentals, and see, now I have a level 1 security clearance. I could just get the key and walk into these places, but that wouldn't be happening because that's illegal. Yeah, so this house has a beautiful entrance, as you can see. Yo, what the? I swear this isn't a bad neighborhood. I don't know where that dude came from. But I can only imagine the nightmare for everyone involved in this situation. I mean, if the actual owner walked in, they would be scared to find a stranger in their house, and the squatter would also be scared since they are technically breaking and entering. And when you have two people who are scared, the chances of someone dying goes up significantly, and that's not good for anyone involved. Yo, I think someone's in here. Gotcha. Let's move on to something a lot of people might be unaware of even being a thing. We have the distinguished digital nomad. And pretty much this is a privilege of living in a first world country. This is where you get paid in first world buckaroos and pretty much are able to work remotely. But that's just a pre-qualification, since this is really where it gets spicy. So what you do is you go to a third world country where their money's worth significantly less. I'll use Turkey as an example. In Turkey, an average income is a little less than $5,000 a year. That is American dollars. So if you were to make an average American income of $50,000 a year, you'd be making 10x the average income of Turkey. I mean, that's like making $500,000 in America, other than the fact that at the end of the day, it is a third world country. Alright, here, keep the change. Wait, what? You're too kind, you're too kind. And you guys might be intrigued. What jobs are classified as digital nomad potential? Well, pretty much any job you can do with a laptop and an internet connection. In fact, if I so pleased, I could do this myself. I just need to buy a laptop and set up the trip. Another day in paradise. I really had you guys sold for a second, didn't I? Well, let's take a look at the downside, since there really are some, such as travel visas. Oftentimes you can only stay in a country for so long on a vacation. For example, in Turkey you can stay for 90 days, and if you overstay the welcome, you will be deported. And I'm sure we all know how unlovely that kind of experience has to be. Alright, I'm gonna go for a walk and grab a kebab.
FBI, get down.
And let's not forget that these are third world countries, or developing countries, which let's take a look at the classification of what a third world country is. So for one, it's characterized as a place with high rates of poverty, economic or political instability, and a high mortality rate, which a lot of this can be negated with your abundant wealth, but to only so far of an extent. I mean, sometimes you might get a shock like this. Hello, people of my country. Oh my god. Oh nah, I need to get to the embassy right now. And on top of all that, the plane ride can be very long and the ticket prices can be relatively expensive. But hey, overall, I'd rate it a 9 out of 10 since honestly, if you're able to do this in the first place, you're already living in a place of extreme privilege among the world. Oh, this is your captain speaking. Relax, because we have 24 hours of flight ahead of us. What do you say? And now onto the NEET lifestyle, and you guys might be confused on what that means. Well, it's an acronym for non-education, employment, or training, aka pretty much being a basement dweller. And I unproudly admit that was me at some point in my life, but it led me here, so hey, that's something, right? Hey, can you give me some tendies? I think it's time you get a job. And honestly, it doesn't sound that bad to just hang around in your parents' basement just playing games and watch TV until you realize the unbearable amount of shame and guilt that comes with it. I'm a firm believer there isn't a single person in this type of setup who is truly happy. And if they say they are, good chances it's cope, or they're just a bad person. Honestly, do you want to look like this? Hey, maybe you could go to college, I'll pay for it. You wicked witch, how dare you tell me I have to do something with my life. Leave now before I unleash the piss bottles. And you know, there's a saying I heard a long time ago about this type of situation. It's your choice. You're either financially stable and mentally ill, or you're financially unstable and mentally stable. But both are manageable with proper spending habits. Well, I only have $10 for the next week if I want to afford rent, so it looks like it's a ramen noodle week. Also, you better accept being single and not having a place for friends, since this is not ideal for that. But hey, this is something I see becoming more common, and it's just disrespectful to everyone. Your parents, yourself, and honestly your future self. Like bro, if your max potential self saw you in that state, they would be disgusted, and I personally wouldn't accept that. Overall rating, 2 out of 10. Depends on the situation. Oh jeez bro, what was I doing back then? And oh, we can't forget about the dorms, and honestly, I get it. For some, they're a necessity, but honestly, I've been in some and they're pretty horrible. I guess it depends on which one you get, but it's often a place of pure degeneracy and honestly, misery. But hey, the college experience, right? I can't do this anymore. Oh, what you doing, bud? I gotcha. I mean, I've only been in 2, and one is probably 500 square feet without a stove, and the bedroom was pretty much the size of a closet. The other had plastic on the ground to protect from spilled drinks and vomit, so yeah, not ideal in my eyes. Welcome to my humble abode. Is this your closet? Yesn't. And you know, I should mention the military housing, and after doing some research on the life in the barracks, it sounds pretty horrible. I saw a lot of things about brown water and mold, and I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like a pain. At attention! Alright, who made the water brown? And I hate to say this downside, but the divorce rate is high in the military, so that's another note to take since you will be separated from your family for a while, and if you don't have a good partner, that very well could be your demise. I mean, hey, maybe it's a bullet dodge depending on how much of your life is built with them. I can't wait to come home, this house sucks.
Oh yeah, I can't wait either. Talk to you later, honey.
Yo, you're a bad person, I hope you know that. I'm heading out. And here we are with the peak of them all. I'm sure you know it. We have an airplane. Okay, that's a joke. What it actually is a house, obviously. And the price on this can range indefinitely, but they are pretty expensive, unless it's in Detroit. Hey, this house only costs $10. Now that's a steal. But there's a reason people end up living in their house for multiple decades, because it really is a good place to be. That is until you hit the downside, such as maintenance, and I'm not just talking about the parts that make the house run, but everything included: lawn care, window cleaning, remodeling, and the list goes on.
Finally done with work for the week. Time for chores.
Also, can't forget that you will often be paying off a house for upwards of 30 years. Loans and houses are very expensive as of 2023, and houses do usually go up in value, but not always, since unexpected things can happen, such as bad neighbors, which is usually why HOAs exist, even though I'm not a fan. Or you know, this could happen. Alright, just gonna tweak this right here. I'm not gonna let my boss know about that one. So I'm going to group some things up here. So we have earthships and living off the land. And an earthship is a self-sufficient house made out of tires and water bottles, which is pretty much made to live off grid. And I've never been in one, but honestly the idea of it is definitely intriguing to me, since I think self-sufficiency is very important, especially with an ever more chaotic world. In local news, the world has fallen into chaos. Haha, I knew I made the right choice with this project. And join my Discord and Twitter, and feel free to click this video right here.